On a crisp autumn evening, Officer Daniel Martinez finished his shift and was tired and ready to relax with a hot cup of coffee. He noticed a large, shaggy dog trailing behind him, keeping a respectful distance, but clearly following him. The dog seemed well-groomed and healthy, not like a stray. Daniel asked the dog where it came from, and it seemed to be well-groomed and healthy. When he reached his house, he opened the gate and gestured for the dog to come inside. To his surprise, the dog hesitated, sitting down on the sidewalk again. Daniel sighed, raising an eyebrow, but the street was empty. The dog seemed well-groomed and healthy, not like a stray. He sighed, standing up again, and asked the dog to come inside. When he woke up the next morning, the dog was still there, curled up on his porch. Over the next few days, the dog became a constant presence in Daniel's life. It followed him to work, waiting patiently outside the station while he completed his shifts. It walked with him through the neighborhood, always a few steps behind, as if keeping watch. The other officers began to notice, joking that Daniel had picked up a new partner. But Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to this dog than met the eye. One evening, as Daniel sat on his porch sipping coffee, the dog lay at his feet, its head resting on its paws. The sun was setting again, casting a golden glow over the yard. Daniel reached down, running his fingers through the dog's thick fur. "You're a mystery, you know that?" he said quietly. "Where did you come from? And why are you sticking around?" The dog lifted its head, looking up at him with those deep, knowing eyes. For a moment, Daniel felt as though the animal was trying to tell him something. But before he could ponder it further, his radio crackled to life. There was a report of a break-in at a nearby house. Daniel sighed, standing up and grabbing his jacket. The dog was already on its feet, waiting by the gate. When they arrived at the scene, the dog suddenly became agitated. It barked once, a deep, resonant sound that echoed through the quiet street. Then it took off running, disappearing around the corner of the house. Daniel followed, his hand resting on his holster. When they arrived, the dog stood over a small child, no older than 6, who looked terrified. The dog stood protectively in front of him, its body tense and ready to spring into action. Daniel realized that this wasn't just a dog. It was a guardian, protector, and had chosen him for a reason. From that day on, the bond between the dog and Daniel grew stronger, and the dog, which Daniel eventually named Max, seemed to have an uncanny ability to sense danger. At home, the dog brought a sense of comfort and companionship that Daniel hadn't realized he was missing. One night, as Daniel sat on the porch with Max by his side, he found himself reflecting on how much his life had changed since the dog had entered it. As the stars twinkled overhead, Daniel reached down and ruffled Max's fur. "You're something else, you know that?" he said softly. Max looked up at him, his eyes shining with pure affection. In that moment, Daniel felt a surge of gratitude for the mysterious dog that had chosen to follow him home.